You said yesterday the Intifada is going to go on.
It will continue. No doubt. Nobody can, neither Arafat, as I have mentioned in Geneva, and I am repeating now, neither Arafat nor other person else can stop this Intifada. It will continue, wave after wave, till achieving real peace through establishing our independent Palestinian state.
So Hamas is a political movement. It's a political party that contests elections or has contested elections. And Hamas then has a military wing, which is called the Qassam Brigades. They've been around pretty much since the foundation of the movement, right? So they always had a militant faction, but they've grown very significantly in number, training, and equipment since Hamas took power in Gaza, because it basically that made it easier for them to organize their forces, and to tap into funding, because de facto Hamas has been running Gaza as a government, right? So it's very hard to distinguish between the security forces of the Gaza Strip, right? So they're basically the people who police functions and such like, and Hamas. That is very much one and the same, because these days, if you're, prior to October 7th, if you were affiliated with the Gaza security forces, you were also affiliated with Hamas, right? Because they had basically infiltrated, if you wish, the political apparatus of Gaza.
الإخوة النظام إلى أدعياء الديمقراطية في العالم. الأخ سامي أبو زهري في الطريق إليكم الآن.
Nobody quite knows how many fighters Hamas has. Estimates range up to 30,000. Now, again, this was prior to October 7th. But as always with groups like this, clear numbers are hard to come by. Hamas as a political organization has always been defined by running the Gaza strips as their de facto government, right? And that has largely ceased. So, there isn't a lot of governance existing in Gaza these days. You have, of course, the exile leadership, primarily in Doha, which has been sort of the public-facing side of Hamas in a sense. So if Western leaders negotiate directly or indirectly with Hamas, you don't talk to the militants inside of the Gaza Strip. You talk to basically the exile leadership. What the relationship between them, the Politburo, and the militants is very hard to say. I'm right down to the question, how do they actually communicate? So, we don't really understand that. In a sense, the political side of Hamas has been subsumed under the military side, and the only time we ever see them is when they're negotiations, because that's when they have a role. So you might be able, and even that seems a bit of a stretch, to beat Hamas as a military organization completely. You might even be able to somehow get rid of them as a political organization so that Hamas itself goes away. But you would certainly then have a new generation of resistance fighters, again, quote unquote, resistance fighters in Palestine. And the Israelis are very much aware of that. I mean, it's certainly possible that the conflict in Gaza has increased their popularity with Palestinians outside of Gaza, who, of course, are not as directly affected by the violence, but who do see them as, in a sense, putting the money where their mouth is by actually fighting. Whereas your point of criticism to other Palestinian factions, in particular Fatah, has been that they've been too accommodating to Israeli demands in the past. So the whole question, how do you define victory if you're fighting an insurgent force, where it's not a matter of we take the capital and then they're done. So that's one of the major challenges of this. So it's very hard for an external observer like me to see what the end game could possibly be. I mean, how do you define victory, a military victory, in this kind of confrontation?